Live from your trusted local news source, KCRG News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I am Becky Phelps, and Lacey Reeves is joining us now for one of our top stories today. Lacey, you went out to a trap shooting range in Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, Becky, this was actually just my second time out there. I went there back in May, I believe it was. It's at the Isaac Walton League of Lynn County. And so they have an area out there with quite a few shooting ranges. But this one is a trap range. They got some, not construction, but more like renovations done to that. And they actually raised $300,000 to pay for that. That's from them. They have quite a few members. And so a lot of people donated. And the cool thing, Becky, about this is it's not just for adults to go out there and shoot. It's for students. We have many high schools and actually a college here in eastern Iowa, and they have their trap shooting practices there. And so for people that might not be familiar, trap shooting is when you have a shotgun that holds 2 bullet shells at one time and orange clay targets. And when you yell the word pull, the machine shoots a target out, and then it's either to the center, the left, or the right, and you shoot at it and try to break it. And usually they go for about 100 shots a piece, and you could see there that one exploding, which is really cool. The reason they wanted to do these renovations, though, is because the throwing machine there, you can see that it was getting a bit outdated, so the targets were not going the place that they should have. They had issues.
Okay, so this, let's take a look. This is the throwing machine?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's the thing that launches the projectile.
Yeah.
Okay, so that got fixed. Now, you gave us some of these fantastic visuals. This is from May, from your first story.
Yeah.
And this is from the story today. So what are some of the other things that got updated?
Yeah, so you can see this one on the right. You can see those lanes there. Those were about half the size before. Now they're longer. There's a certain discipline that's like an event at a trap shoot where you stand all the way back close to the building there. That's an extra 9 yards. And so that's a more difficult kind of place to shoot the targets from. And so now those kids can practice the even harder event.
Oh, okay, so they're kind of expanding some of their skills. That is really neat. So you got to talk to some students today. Who all did you talk to, and how excited were they for this?
Yeah, we had Prairie High School was out there, and so was Marion Independent. And Prairie High School, one of the coaches there and his son actually were the ones that put a lot of this together this summer with concrete work. And so they were out there getting to see other people use it for the first time. So I talked to a senior, his name was Jonas, out there, who was really going at it. And, you know, I had such a cool time just watching them do this. I couldn't believe that hand-eye coordination especially.
Oh my gosh, no, it looks, from the video, it looks pretty hard. I don't know that I'd be very good at that. Not that I was ever that good at sports in high school. But it is amazing that they're getting to kind of reap the rewards of all that hard work this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And when he told me that, I had no idea. So I'm just interviewing him, you know, trying to ask him what he's excited about. And he's like, well, we put so much work into this place. And I'm like, really? You helped do this all? And he was like, yeah. And the cool thing about Prairie, they didn't actually have practices at the range before until now. They shot out at the Amana Colonies. But now with this new space, it's so much better than the old one they were using. They're going to start coming to Cedar Rapids for all their practices.
That's amazing. Okay, so they're investing in this new space. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really neat because everybody there is all supportive for the kids. I mean, these are the kids that are going to, you know, improve their scores with these improvements. They are going to be able to shoot more in a row. That's kind of the goal, is to shoot. Typically, they believe they give you 100 shots, and however many straight you can do is kind of the goal. So not only do they have to shoot the targets, they have to shoot them consistently in a row, and I could not do that.
No, absolutely not. Well, best of luck to those kids in their practices, and we'll have Lacey's full story on the KCRG-TV9 News at 10. Lacey, thank you so much.
Thanks, Becky.
All right. Next up, UNI today had a celebration for their education and nursing programs. They welcomed a lot of their new students here, and they have an emphasis on these two programs because they're really hoping that some of these students are going to help fill vacancies across the entire state. So this year, UNI has 600 students entering their teacher education program. And right now, according to the Iowa Department of Education, the state has 661 total vacancies in teaching positions across the state. That is a 1.7% vacancy rate. Nursing also has some empty spots. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that across the entire country, through every year, through 2034, there are going to be 190,000 registered nurse openings. So clearly a demand for both of these positions. We'll hear from some of the leaders in those departments.
For any school district that's missing even one teacher, that's a shortage for them. So even if there's pockets of places that are going well, we want to make sure that that pipeline is as healthy as can be.
I think nursing is an area that is evolving and always growing. We have shortages in different areas, so we're trying to meet that need in our communities. So we're hoping that these students will stay in Waterloo, Cedar Falls.
Now, UNI's nursing program is only 2 years old and it is growing very quickly. Its first year, they only welcomed about 25 students intentionally to make sure the program was ready to go. This year, they have 62 students. Also going on today in Cedar Rapids Festival Latino returned to downtown. It was held at the McGrath Amphitheater today. It's a family-friendly event that is free and open to the public. There was dancing, as you can see, a lot of booths offering some traditional Latin American foods and arts. And the festival also commemorates the observance of the National Hispanic Heritage Month. That observation goes all the way back to 1968, when it started as just a week observation, and then 20 years later, it was expanded as a 30-day period that starts September 15th and goes all the way to October 15th. So officially, that month starts in just a few days, and this festival in downtown Cedar Rapids was kicking it all off. Coming up, meteorologist AJ Rickman will have a check of your first alert forecast. Join us. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. AJ joins us now. Okay, so I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but it feels like we've time traveled back to July, and it's kind of painfully hot outside.
It is, and you know, when we went into this weekend, I knew it was going to be hot. I spent a lot of my day outside today before coming in, and between about sunrise and 9 a.m. it was okay, it was manageable, and then it got to noon, and then noon turned to 1, 88 turned to 92. It's like, this isn't fun anymore. It's too hot.
Not even a little.
I grew up in this type of temperature, and it's too hot.
It's really, I mean, I don't dare to ask, is this a record for us?
We aren't quite at records.
How?
We've had some really hot points in September, but haven't quite made it to that record. But still, it's certainly feeling like summer out there, and well above normal. Typically, highs at this time of year should be in the mid 70s. So we're running 15-ish degrees above normal.
Mid-70s.
I do too. The good news, we do have them on the way, but we got to be patient for them. It's going to feel that much better when they get here, or we'll have that much more relief to enjoy, but we do have another hot, uncomfortable not fun couple of days coming up that we have to tolerate before then.
Well, it feels like summer, but it kind of looks like fall with all the nice fall foliage happening outside.
Just a little bit, and we're starting to get those first signs of some change. You can see there in our Sigourney City cam that maple tree is currently showing
beautiful.
just a little bit of color there. A lot of other trees not showing it just yet, but we will eventually be seeing that change in the air.
I got so excited. I was driving to Dubuque yesterday, and they have some really beautiful, like, foresty areas along the way to Dubuque. And there was a lot of color popping up, and it really started to feel like fall.
Yes, and we're starting to get that feeling in the air. Just don't step out of your air-conditioned car, because
Oh my gosh, yeah.
that might ruin
That ruins it.
That really does kind of ruin it for today at least, and really for the next couple of days as well. Across the rest of eastern Iowa, though, it's again those few trees that have a little bit of color in them are nice to look at, but still a very sunny, very hot day out there. And temperatures currently, as we are continuing to go through our evening, a little cooler farther north. So Decorah, Prairie du Chien, they did escape the worst of it today. There is a warm front that is draped across eastern Iowa. They're on the north side of it. They're just a little bit cooler. I say a little bit cooler. Decorah's at 79.
79.
Cedar Rapids is at 90. That's a little more than a small
It doesn't
difference.
feel a little bit cooler.
Yeah, and then you compare Decorah to Iowa City, 16-degree temperature difference there. They're coming in at 95.
Wow.
So a very hot evening ahead. And just for fun, let's have a look at our current heat index values. Just why not really kind of take in just how warm and uncomfortable it is. 99 is what it feels like in Iowa City.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'll remind you of the date. It's September 13th, not July 13th. So it's getting to that point where it's a little late in the year for this type of heat, but we will eventually get to some cooler air, and it will be arriving here eventually. Just got to wait for it.
I already put up my fall decorations. I'm feeling a little bit silly. I was so excited. We got some cool overnights. I thought, this is it. Here we go. And then boom, back to summer.
And you know what? You were not alone. I thought it. Several other people thought it. There for a while there, it kind of made you wonder, like, maybe we'll get hot, but not this level of hot. Maybe back into the mid 80s some point in September, because there was really a stretch there. I mean, you remember it as well as all of us, where it was cool, it was fall-like, it was comfortable, and as much fun as that was to enjoy, it again kind of came crashing to a halt here this week as those summertime temperatures made a return.
Yeah, I remember taking my sweaters out. I remember getting ready, my wardrobe for fall, and now we are back to no sleeve dresses.
Yep, and we're going to see more of that tomorrow. So as we have a look at your Sunday forecast, those temperatures are going to be hot once again, and Decorah, Prairie du Chien, you guys aren't escaping it tomorrow either. Your highs are going to be getting to 87, so you're joining the rest of us in this summer fest. Cedar Rapids is at 91, Iowa City at 93, Washington at 94. Now, what's going to start to bring that change in a little more fall weather is some rain chances. Not yet. Well, our first couple of rain chances don't bring much of a temperature change. It's one later in the week that we're going to be watching for. But first, before we talk about that midweek one, let's start with our first chance that'll be coming up as we get to the end of your weekend. So for tonight, we are going to see quiet conditions. We're quiet during the day on Sunday as well. A few passing clouds. That sunshine that on a much cooler day would be very pleasant is going to be very unpleasant for the afternoon tomorrow. Now,
Just to be honest, very unpleasant.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be a good time to be outside at all tomorrow. Probably between the hours of about 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Just make it honest for you. If
the
you
whole
can be
time,
inside,
stay in.
stay in. Tomorrow's a great day to sit inside, watch some NFL, have a nice air conditioning unit nearby, and just stay cool and stay out of the heat. Now, once we get to tomorrow night, you see a little bit of activity popping up there on Pinpoint Futurecast just to the southeast of Iowa City. Now, there is going to be that chance for an isolated shower or storm. That's our first of a couple of opportunities we'll have coming up. Many areas do remain dry as we go through your Sunday night into Monday. But again, we can't rule out that isolated chance for a few showers and storms. You can see a better chance for some activity off to the west of I-35. So that's our first chance. Our next chance that we're going to be looking at is going to come Monday afternoon. It's going to once again be very
that's
hot.
a lot bigger.
It is a little bit bigger. And this model tends to show rain in a way that it's a little bit different from Pinpoint Future, let me kind of backtrack here and just kind of say this. So on Monday, a little bit bigger than what we're seeing Sunday night. So the reason for that is going to be there's a little more heat, a little more humidity, still going to be fairly scattered in nature though. And as we get closer to that Monday time frame, we'll get a little more clarity on what exactly things are going to be looking like. And then that'll give us kind of a better idea by about this time tomorrow of what exactly your Monday afternoon is going to look like for those shower and storm chances. But for Monday, that chance is there, similar to what we'll see Sunday night, likely a little more scattered in nature. But then kind of that third one coming up is going to be the best chance of them all. And it's also going to bring our best shot at some relief. Now, Wednesday into your Thursday time frame, we get those off and on rain chances moving in. And models are still figuring out the exact timing on this. But generally that Wednesday to Thursday time frame is when we'll be watching for those showers and storms to move through. Once we get to the backside of it, notice that change in wind direction though. We go from warm southerly winds to northwesterly winds, which at this time of year does mean sweet relief from that summer heat.
I'm so thrilled to hear that.
Yes.
Now, when you say relief, how much relief are we talking?
Well, I can show you right now on the 9-day forecast. So
Yay!
What we're going to be seeing is a really, really big temperature drop relative to where we are now, but we're not going to be getting too far below average. But still, look at the end.
Look at that.
I was going to say, look at the last day on the 9-day and compare that to your first day on the 9-day. We go from
20 degrees.
A 20-degree difference, and that's your high temperature. That is your high temperature. So we are going to be looking at a big drop through the week, and it's going to be really, hot for the first couple of days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, we get those rain chances in there. That's going to have an impact on temperatures during the day as well. But then just in time for Friday night lights this week, it does look like those rain chances are going to start to move out. And then as they do that, we are going to be seeing that cooler air working its way in.
71 has never sounded so good.
Agreed.
Wow, 20 degrees in a week seems so drastic.
Yeah, and it's, it really is going to feel drastic because our bodies right now are trying to acclimate themselves to the heat that we're feeling. So we're going to be a little more used to that upper 90s, upper 80s, lower 90s. But then by the time we get to the autumnal equinox and those temperatures are back in the 70s, it's going to feel so nice, that contrast.
Somebody's going to be out at Friday Night Lights with their parka on. They're just going to be like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
I'm so confused.
Absolutely, yep. There's going to be a few folks like that, and maybe not a bad idea to bring a hoodie or a blanket for those nights. So lots to look forward to, but also some things we have to kind of get through first before we get to those nice fall days to enjoy.
Absolutely. Thank you, AJ.
Absolutely.
Now, we do have sports next, but before we let Jack handle the sports updates, you've been tuning into a few games. Your Cyclones are playing right now.
It's been a stressful football
day. Do you know
for
how
me.
they're doing?
Well, right, it was a struggle for them early on. Well, not early on, most of the game. They've finally started to pull away from Arkansas State, which we were favored by 21.5 points. But it was an emotional game last week for everybody, Cyclones and Hawkeyes alike. But an emotional win at home, first time since 2011. I'm not surprised that we had a little bit of a sluggish game to follow that up. I'm not looking at it with too much worry. I'm just glad that at this point, we're holding our own against Arkansas State, starting to take care of business on that front.
Rooting for you, AJ.
I appreciate it.
Jack will have sports coming up next with the latest on the Hawkeyes game coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. TV9's Jack Lido is out at Kinnick Stadium with a look ahead of the Hawkeye game tonight.
Hello, Becky. I'm at Kinnick Stadium. Iowa and UMass are set to kick off at 6:30. And if you are a Hawkeye fan watching the stream, well, thank you so much for tuning in. We know you're getting set for kickoff. Here are 3 keys I am looking out for ahead of this game between Iowa and UMass. Of course, Iowa is the heavy favorites. They are very, very likely to win this game and send head coach Kirk Ferentz off with his 206th win, which would be a Big Ten record for Big Ten coaches. Obviously the win, that comes first. Here are the next 3. First, I'm looking out for QB1. Big surprise, Mark Gronowski. He was improved in week 2, I should say, after a pretty poor performance in week 1 against Albany. He had 13 completions out of 24 attempts, 83 yards through the air against Iowa State. He also had 16 rushes for 37 yards and 1 touchdown. Things I'm looking out for Gronowski, it's not going to be the box score at the end. It's going to be things like fundamentals, footwork. Is he throwing on time? Is he throwing accurately to his receivers? Is he developing that chemistry with his receivers? You have to remember, Gronowski missed all of spring football after his offseason shoulder surgery. We talked to Gronowski about that earlier this week, and he says, yes, I was stepping a little bit back. I was a little bit on the back foot when it comes to chemistry, but that gap from spring football to now, it needs to be made up, and it needs to be made up soon. It won't be a huge problem against UMass, but it's going to be a huge problem against Rutgers and Indiana if Gronowski cannot develop that chemistry with the receivers. So with Mark Gronowski, I'm not necessarily looking at the box score. He could have 100 yards through the air. He could have 200. He could have 250 or 300 yards through the air. I'm just looking for accuracy, footwork, fundamentals, low incompletions, low interceptions. I hope that number is 0, and of course no fumbles. Now, all the blame for Iowa's passing offense should not be going entirely at the feet of Mark Gronowski. That's the second key I have to this game, taking a look at these wide receivers. We've been talking all offseason about how these wide receivers in year 2 under Tim Lester's system have gotten better. They've developed more intermediate and deep routes. They've turned this Tim Lester system from a beginner offense to an intermediate to an advanced offense. Frankly, through the first 2 weeks, I haven't seen many advancements in this offense. Their leading receiver is Jacob Gill. He's got 65 yards through the air total. There are several teams in the country who have multiple receivers with well over 65 yards. So these receivers, they need to get open. They need to give Mark Gronowski a chance to throw it 15, 20, even 25 or 30 yards down the field. Against Iowa State, there were a few drops. There were a few fundamental errors with these wide receivers. I remember one play in particular, Gill, he had a catch on 3rd down, but he ran the route short of the sticks. That is such a basic, fundamental thing that every Big Ten wide receiver needs to know. On 3rd down, you got to run it to the sticks. So that is what I'm going to be looking out for with these wide receivers. Again, it's not a box score thing. It's looking at, is their chemistry with Mark Gronowski better? Are their routes better? Are we going to see any drops? We need to keep that number to 2, 1, or ideally 0 if you're a Hawkeye fan. And now let's flip it over to the defense. This is my 3rd key. Phil Parker's defenses have always been good, and the defense has been good through the first 2 weeks, but these Iowa fans demand excellence out of their defense. And to get excellence, they need to provide some more sacks and turnovers. I'm going to turn the attention to the defensive line unit. This unit is full of 4th and 5th year guys who have been good through the first 2 weeks, but not great. I'm looking at guys like Max Llewellyn, who's got 1 sack, Ethan Herkett, who has 0 sacks, Brian Allen, who also has 0 sacks. I need those guys to come off the edge and win their one-on-one matchups and maybe rack up a couple of sacks, because if you can't beat the offensive tackle from UMass one-on-one and get a sack on the quarterback, you're certainly not going to be able to do it against Rutgers, Indiana, Oregon, and Penn State. The thing about Phil Parker's defense is he doesn't necessarily draw up a ton of pressure. It's not like he's bringing 2 or 3 linebackers on a blitz all that often. The reason he does that is he expects his 11 guys to win their one-on-one matchups with the offense's 11 guys. What I'm looking for is, can these 11 guys on the Hawkeyes side of the ball win their matchups with consistency and have it lead to some sacks, maybe some strip sacks? Can that pressure lead to an interception? I do think the Iowa defensive back unit has been very good through the first 2 weeks, but the interception has not come yet. When's the last time Iowa didn't have an interception through the first 2 weeks of the college football season? Again, this is maybe a little bit more of a box score thing. You want to see sacks in the box score, you want to see interceptions in the box score, but I'm looking not entirely at the box score. I'm just looking at the field. Can the defensive linemen like Allen, Llewellyn, Herkett, Jonah Pace, Aaron Graves, can they provide the pressure needed to hurry the UMass quarterback? Maybe that leads to some interceptions, and Iowa can maybe have a pick six for yet another year. Those are the three things I'm looking out for as Iowa and UMass are set to kick off at 6:30 p.m. from right here in Kinnick Stadium. I know you'll be watching, Hawkeye fans. I'll be shooting the game and then coming back to anchor our coverage for the KCRG-TV9 News at 10, where we will get you highlights, and hopefully, as long as the game does not end too late, we will get you outside of the locker room talking to some players and talking with Kirk Ferentz after what should be his 206th win as a Big Ten coach. Becky, back to you.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you all for joining us. That's all the news, weather, and sports we have for you here at 6 o'clock. But like Jack said, be sure to tune in tonight at 10 after college football for all of our coverage on Iowa, Iowa State games, and latest headlines. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.